Hello, you're watching Middle East Matters here on France 24. Coming up in the show, what do the months ahead hold for Gaza, and how much influence, if any, do Palestinians there have over their future? This week, Hamas announced it had dissolved its de facto government, saying it was ready to hand over power to a group of technocrats appointed by Donald Trump's Board of Peace. Israel called the move a stunt. And with the Israeli military continuing to bomb Gaza, despite the ostensible ceasefire, while controlling over 60% of the territory, and with that technocratic committee remaining outside of the enclave, who really is in charge in Gaza? Well, we'll talk about that in a moment with our guest today, Khaled Elgindy. But first, our report by Emerald Maxwell.
Hamas said it wanted to remove any pretexts for Israel's occupation of Gaza. The Islamist movement said its governing body was stepping aside after nearly 2 decades to make way for the technocratic National Committee for the Administration of Gaza, established by Donald Trump's Board of Peace.
Hamas hopes that the mediators, the guarantor states and the so-called Board of Peace will be able to compel the occupying forces to allow the National Committee into Gaza to enforce the agreements and facilitate the transition process.
The NCAG said it was ready to take over governance. It's been based in Cairo since it was set up, reportedly due to Israeli objections to its entry into the war-devastated enclave. Hamas said Gaza's civil servants would remain in place under the new administration.
They are technical and operational staff only. They will remain in their posts to ensure the continued provision of services to our great Palestinian people and to prevent any administrative or technical vacuum.
The Board of Peace said it had taken note of Hamas's announcement, adding that it will assess developments by actions, not promises, to meet the critical needs of the people of Gaza. The announcement is in line with Donald Trump's 20-point plan, which provided for Hamas's disarmament and a gradual withdrawal of Israeli forces from Gaza. But the transition has been stalled for months, with Israel insisting disarmament should come first, while Hamas is demanding the establishment of a Palestinian administration before it will consider handing over any part of its arsenal. At least 1,072 Palestinians and 5 Israeli soldiers have been killed since the ceasefire took effect last October, while Israeli forces have actually expanded their presence in the territory and now control nearly 70% of Gaza.
I'm pleased to say that our guest, Khaled Elgindy, is with me on the programme. Thank you for speaking to France 24. First of all, how significant do you think it is that this Hamas government have disbanded? Because, you know, they've kept their military wing, so let's face it, they remain pretty powerful.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that they're very powerful, but yes, they have kept their military wing and some semblance of a civilian governing authority in the small area of Gaza that is not under direct Israeli military control. But I think it is a significant development in the sense that this was a requirement under the ceasefire arrangement agreed last October. And it should be a step that facilitates the return of the Palestinian technical governing body, they are based in Cairo, and they have not been allowed to return by Israel. And so Israel may say that it's a stunt, but at the end of the day, it could simply abide by the ceasefire arrangements, stop its bombing, allow sufficient aid to enter Gaza, and especially to allow this technical committee to enter Gaza.
As you say, the technical committee is currently in Egypt, and this is a group of Palestinians primarily who in theory would run the part of Gaza that is not under Israel's control. How seriously should we take this technocratic committee, do you think, given that it is one appointed by the Board of Peace, an organisation that Donald Trump set up? And, you know, it's worth reminding our viewers that Trump had talked previously about a sort of Riviera in Gaza, his real estate sort of, you know, dreams there. So with all of that, I mean, how seriously should we take the idea of a technocratic committee having any kind of control?
Well, I've met with and spoken with a number of the members of this technical team, and I think they are serious professional people who care about Gaza. All of them are from Gaza, and who care about the Palestinian people and their well-being. And I think obviously there are problems with the Board of Peace, the way it's structured, the fact that it is entirely dominated by the Trump administration. But right now, there is no alternative, because if you won't allow this technical team to work in Gaza, then there are only two other alternatives, and that is the existing Hamas Authority, which nobody wants, including Hamas, or the Palestinian Authority currently running parts of the West Bank. And Israel won't allow either of those options. And so I think the question isn't whether the committee is serious. The question is whether the Trump administration is serious about implementing its own plan. So far, they don't seem to be all that serious in terms of preventing Israel from continuing its war, essentially, in Gaza, or in pressuring Israel to allow this technical team to work so that Gaza can begin the process of rebuilding. Instead, they are allowing Israel to continue the war against Gaza, albeit at a lower level. But each and every single day, Palestinians are being killed by the Israeli military.
And look, Israel also controls somewhere between 60 and 70% of Gaza. I mean, it's interesting that you've been able to speak to some of the technocrats who are on this committee. Can you give us a sense then as to practically what things look like on the ground in terms of who controls what in Gaza? Israel certainly doesn't have any plans to cede control of that 60 or 70%. So, I mean, who's managing what?
I mean, it's clear Israel controls all of Gaza. Israel controls the air, land, and sea borders. Israel controls every single morsel of food, every bottle of milk, everything that enters Gaza is controlled by Israel. The Israeli military is currently in control of more than 60% of the Gaza Strip directly. That is much more than the roughly 50% that was designated by the so-called yellow line that is stipulated by the ceasefire. So the Israeli army has actually been expanding the area of control. Instead of withdrawing as required in phase 2 of the ceasefire, the Israeli army is actually squeezing Palestinians into ever smaller areas while destroying everything in the areas that it controls. So Israel is, again, repeatedly and egregiously and on a daily basis in violation of every aspect of the ceasefire arrangement.
I'd like to ask you about the treatment of Palestinian detainees by Israel, because a story that's been getting a little bit of traction this week is one of a Palestinian doctor, who's being held in Israel. He's been held in Israel for more than 18 months now. His family, his lawyers say he's been tortured by Israel. They fear that his life now is in danger. Is this, in your view, an unusually serious case? Or is this actually emblematic of how Israel has treated the detainees that it's taken from Gaza?
Oh, I think under this current extremist government, and let's not forget, the person in charge of the prisons is none other than Itamar Ben-Gvir, who is the Jewish supremacist who openly boasts about his torture and abuse of Palestinian prisoners. So this isn't something that the Israeli government is hiding. His case, Dr. Abu Sofia's case, is in fact emblematic of a much bigger trend. At least 95 medics have been detained by Israel without any charge. So he is one of many doctors and medical personnel. More importantly, at least 98 prisoners have died in Israeli custody since October 7th as a direct result of abuse, of denial of medical treatment, of torture, of the denial of food. Itamar Ben-Gvir, again, he likes to boast that that prisoners are much thinner than they were when they entered, and then he's pleased with that. So there is a clear pattern of abuse. It's been well documented by human rights organizations. And I would also point out that there are more than 4,500 Palestinians currently being held in Israeli prisons without any charge or trial. This whole situation, the case of Dr. Abu Safiya in particular, should shock the conscience of the entire world and should move governments to act immediately. But we haven't really seen that. I think, try to imagine if Hamas were holding 4,500 Israelis. The world responded, and I think rightly so, with outrage when Hamas held a few hundred hostages. But now we are seeing the abuse and torture of Palestinians as a matter of routine that is being normalized.
Khaled Elgindy, there's so much more I'd like to ask you, but unfortunately we're out of time. Thank you for speaking to us here on Middle East Matters.